welcome to the road to 1 million US dollars. Let's get right into the Bitcoin chart for today, because today, guys, we are seeing a rejection from this critical level of resistance sitting from 105K all the way up to 107,000 in the Bitcoin price. Now, if you're asking me about a level of support, the big level of support to the downside right now on this 1 day time frame is sitting from 103 all the way down to 101.5K. Overall, the big picture here has not really changed. Ever since we broke down from this massive ascending trend line, I've basically just been bearish on Bitcoin, and I continue to be bearish on Bitcoin, even with us seeing a couple of green candles here. So far, to me, this is just looking like a lower high that will likely resolve in another lower low being formed. Notice how since yesterday, I have also created some clarity in terms of why I am targeting 98K in the Bitcoin price right now. Basically, I am just looking at this as a rising wedge pattern, which has already broken out to the downside here and is currently targeting about 98K in the Bitcoin price. Now, this isn't the only reason why I am targeting this level, because besides this breakout pattern being here, we also have an imbalance in the charts, which you can see right here on this daily candle. We got a massive pump to the upside here, and usually when you have a big gap like this, the price tends to return back down to that gap to fill a bunch of orders, take out a bunch of liquidity, and from there, we can see a potential further bounce to the upside. Now, of course, it is also possible that we just continue going to the downside from there, but we will talk about that scenario in the case that we actually reach down all the way to this target. Of course, I do have a clear point of invalidation for this entire idea, which you can see here on the 3-day time frame. If on this 3-day time frame we even get a single candle close above this 106.5K level, I will no longer be as bearish on Bitcoin, and I will actually be looking for a next move to the upside from there. But so long as that does not happen, then to me, again, this just looks like a breakdown from this massive ascending trend line. We broke down below this critical line of support that we used to have on these previous highs, again at about 106.5K. And so far, even with this green candle right here, this is just looking like a retest, now flipping this level of support into a level of resistance and likely continuing further to the downside from here. Of course, nothing I say in my videos is financial advice, but I'm simply telling you what I'm seeing in the charts, and you could do with that information what you like. Now, let's take a quick look at the short term for Bitcoin, because right now we are still just trading inside this descending channel pattern, and on the low time frame, the critical level to hold is this 0.236 Fibonacci level sitting at 103K in the Bitcoin price. If we break below this, guys, we might get some short-term support along this descending line of support, but the next Fibonacci level below is the 0.382 Fibonacci level sitting at 97.5K. And do notice that before we even hit that Fibonacci level for some potential support, we are already hitting my price target at that point. So this isn't necessarily a call or a prediction that I'm making on this lower time frame, because right now it isn't as clear on the lower time frame as it is on the daily or even 3-day time frame. But overall, the trend is simply to the downside right now. If you're looking for that potential invalidation at 106.5K, then again, of course, we have that resistance there. But in terms of resistance of this descending channel pattern, currently that is sitting at 107K in the Bitcoin price, slowly trending down over time. Interestingly, though, we are seeing a potential breakout pattern on this 2-hour time frame. Right now, it isn't very clear what type of pattern this is going to be. It could be some kind of triangle pattern that is forming right now, potentially about to break out, or if this thing just keeps kind of chopping like this, we could end up seeing some kind of falling wedge pattern that will then break out to the upside. Of course, I cannot know if we are getting a falling wedge or potentially just this breakout right here, but I can show you the potential scenarios. Now, in the case that we do end up getting this falling wedge type pattern, if you want to measure the price target, you basically take it from the high of this pattern all the way down to the widest point of this pattern. So you would get a price target like this, you drag it to the point of the breakout, and this would set up a price target, for example, at 106K. For now, we simply have this symmetrical triangle pattern in the charts that could potentially break out, and if it does right now, we do have a price target of 107K in the Bitcoin price. Something interesting to note about this is that, yes, even if we get this, and I'm not saying that it is going to happen, but even if we get this, this could just be a full move on the lower time frames. Then from there, a dump after hitting the price target, and on the higher time frames, for example, this 3-day time frame, that could again just look like another wick slightly above this point of invalidation, followed by another rejection further to the downside from there. So that is something to keep an eye on over the next couple of days. Moving on to the Bitcoin liquidation heat map. First of all, on this 3-day time frame, notice how right now we do have a bunch of liquidity to the downside, sitting as low as about 103K in the Bitcoin price. There is also a bunch of liquidity to the upside though, which is currently sitting at 106.8K. Next, if I zoom out to this 2-week time frame, here we have a bunch of liquidity sitting at 111K in the Bitcoin price, and there is a smaller amount of liquidity around that 103K level that I showed you earlier. But lastly, if we zoom out all the way to this 1-month time frame, here we actually have most of the liquidity to the downside once again, sitting at 103K. Now, in the case that you don't know, typically the Bitcoin price gets attracted to where there is the most liquidity on this chart. So where there are the most yellow areas here. And right now that is simply to the downside. So overall, to summarize all of this, guys, yes, I am still bearish on the 1-day time frame, even with these green couple candles right here. For this move to the downside is at least 98K in the Bitcoin price, so long as we do not see an invalidation, which would be in the case that we get a 3-day candle close above this 106.5K level. And lastly, on the lower time frames, for example, this 4-hour time frame, the broader trend is still to the downside. We are still making lower highs and lower lows. However, there is potential for a short-term move to the upside in the case that you see one of those breakouts that I showed you earlier on in this video. Now, if you are new to crypto and you want to learn the basics of technical analysis to just have a better understanding of the charts, maybe even how to do technical analysis like this yourself, or even just to understand my videos better, well, in that case, I have created a free trading course for you. And if you want to watch this, you can simply go to rt1m.com, which is my website where I've created about an hour of educational content that, again, you can watch completely for free. And in this course, guys, I basically teach you the basics of TA, as well as how to get started with leverage trading, if that is something that you might be interested in. But either way, if you do end up checking it out or not, thank you for watching once again. Also, thank you for 12,000 subscribers. That was really cool to see yesterday. And I will see you tomorrow in the next one.